Today I'm going to show you my investigation that will completely turn your view of agents and Skibidi Toilets upside down. Your perspective on the series will change drastically. Until now, I always analyzed and made theories on Skibidi Toilet series in a vacuum, and didn't pay attention to the content that Defukboom made until episode 1. When I watched all the videos on Defukboom channel, I uncovered some very cool details and secrets that are related to the Skibidi universe. Everything you will see and hear in this analysis is my opinion, and my own personal observations that have a logical connection. So don't judge harshly, but just be prepared, bring your tea and cookies, and we'll get started. First of all, to make it easier for you to perceive all my following theses, let me briefly tell you about such characters as Male 07 and Male 09. These characters are the main characters of the Beatbox universe. If Male 09 is an ordinary scientist with a huge brain, then Male 07 is like a Superman. He has many superpowers, the main one being a beatbox that can change the matter around him. But that's not all. Defukboom is very complicated with different versions of the same characters. He also has a lot of different worlds, kind of like a Rick and Morty cartoon. And the thing is, there are a huge number of people like Male 07, but only 4 of them have superpowers. Here are the other 3 Male 07s that we don't know anything about. We've only seen pictures of them, but that's not the most important thing. This detail was only needed to convince the main Male 07 to protect planet Earth number 1337. You're about to ask, what the hell am I talking about? What does he have to do with it? What the hell is Earth 1337? Protect it from who? And what the hell is going on here anyway? So here's a quick recap to answer your question. I will only touch on 2 series that we will need to understand my theory about the truth of the Skibidi Toilets and their origins. The series begins with Male 09 who is in his lab and suddenly the alarm goes off. As he approaches the screen, we watch as an alternate version of him destroys everything in his path. It's an evil version of him with superpowers. Immediately after what he sees, he uses his tablet to find the locations of the 7th. He drives his old Mercedes to the right place and finds an apartment where Male 07 is watching a video of him beatboxing. Then, as it usually happens, when the 7th appears in the frame, the full wildness starts. Everything around starts spinning and dancing. Among these scenes, we can see a scene that looks very much like the 6th series of Skibidi Toilets, only with a different angle, and along with people also dance toilets. After a few ingenious defuck scenes, the 7th says, "You have 1 minute to tell me what you want." The 9th replies, "1 minute is not enough," and they go to his lab. They watch this very tape where the 7th says that this character looks just like the scientist. He answers him that it's an alternate version of him from another universe, but who has superpowers. He reveals a very interesting and creepy detail. It turns out his alternate version destroys planets in each universe one by one. He also shows a diagram that he has worked out where he predicts that in order for him to reach the Earth where they are, he only has to blow up planet number 1337. Superman says, "Well, let him, I'll stop him as soon as he opens my apartment door." He doesn't really care about the planets themselves and the fact that they are being destroyed. He just wants to keep his property. He is a selfish guy, even though he has the power to stop this villain. This is followed by the very moment in which Male 9 says, "Well then, I'll call on your other versions for help." Male 7 immediately turns around and agrees to help planet number 1337, but with one condition. He wants the scientist to first give information on the whereabouts of all his other versions with superpowers, because he wants to remain the only Male 7. He fulfills this condition, and we see the alternate versions of the 7th for the first time. They shake hands, and Male 7 graciously agrees to protect planet 1337. Then he says, "Okay, but first I need to change my skin," and that's where the fun begins. When he chooses which skin to put on himself, one of the many choices includes a Skibidi Toilet. Despite the fact that the video came out after the first short series Skibidi Toilet, probably by chronology, it is within the universe. These events occur before the creation of agents and toilets. When the scientist opens the portal to this planet, there are no destroyed buildings and no toilets. Yet some people are running around for some reason, in a panic. Because a little earlier, all the news channels of this planet told about some flying superhuman who destroys everything on his way. After that, the 7th in the pose of Superman flies into this portal, and the series ends. And here is what we are given. The planet Earth number 1337 lived quietly, but with some deviations, where people sit on toilets instead of chairs, and eat food in the form of shit, but not the point. The first to enter this planet is an alternate version of a scientist who handles humans with ease, after which Male 07 appears. They meet, and a brutal massacre ensues, at the end of which they both realize that no one wins. They are so powerful in this universe that their battle will always end in a draw. So they agree to fight under different rules, where not they themselves will participate, but their minions, that is, each will tame an existing race and a planetary-level war will begin. If the 9th wins, he will continue to destroy planets. If the 7th wins, he will at least not touch the planet in which the 7th lives or will stop destroying the Earth altogether. Male 7 decides to enslave humans and spawns the Skibidi Toilets, the first of which resembles himself. Male 9 decides to take control of the local robots and programs their intelligence to kill the Skibidi Toilets. Despite his superpowers, he's a scientist. While 7, I'll remind you, is a beatboxer, and his strongest weapon is music. So it's no surprise that he was able to come up with a song that can change matter by enslaving the minds of all living things, and decided to implement the Skibidi's most magical song into his minions. Why did he choose to use toilets as his symbiosis? Think to yourself, if it's the most common item on this planet, even in cafes they sit on them. Logically, you will now have a lot of questions, starting with the question, where did the TV men come from then, and who are they fighting for here? Ending with the question, what makes me think that male 07 agreed to kill an alien planet for the sake of some bet with a boogeyman scientist? First of all, I'll tell you about the W men, as this is a very sore topic among all theorists, because everyone has different theories about these personalities, but they all agree on the same opinion that they are traitors. I decided to go further and understand why they are traitors, and what is their logic if they help to exterminate the toilets. To answer that question, what we see in the show is basically a sandbox, where two superpowers decide to play naval combat, and instead of using ships, they use an entire planet that's inhabited by a real civilization. However, this war we see through the eyes of ordinary minions. Starting from the 45th episode, we can observe some mysterious character, and it is not clear whether it is one or different people in different episodes. One thing is certain, since male 07 can change his appearance, it could very well be him with a different appearance. And with the same probability behind the mask of this character, could be an alternate version of the 9th. Because if you notice, they're always in an observer role, and never get to the actual fight itself in person. Except in episode 47, where we first see a secret character who doesn't just observe, but interacts with the agent. It is levying a memory card from a destroyed cameraman, and if this happened after a battle where the Skibidi Toilets won, it could very well be male 7 with another skin who decides to analyze another defeated agent to steal technology or some other reason. I'll come back to this scene again. The TV men first appeared in episode 39. However, I noticed an interesting detail in episode 22. Their flying Skibidi Toilets used black goggles, much long before the TV men appeared. I assume that both Race 9 and Race 7 developed themselves, and they in turn give a task and a definite purpose. Here comes our cunning male 7, realizing that the agents are getting too powerful, as by now, they have already created the first Titan of their own in the person of Cameraman Titan. He decides to start devising a cunning plan, a bit dishonest, but we know it's in male 7 style. He steals a small portion of the agents, and rewires them to create a new race, in the form of TV men. That way, he can steal technology from the agents, and can stab them in the back at any time. So in the eyes of the agents it looks like they've created a super cool race that can destroy toilets in a second with their hypnosis. And in reality, it's actually a controlled race of Skibidi Toilets that are Plan B if the agents suddenly become too dominant in strength. Why I mentioned that the glasses appeared long before the TV men, I think you'll guess. Post your versions in the comments. I'll answer another question about Titan's TV Mina, and why Defuckboom decided to merge it. The thing is, he was slaying toilets a lot, and that wasn't part of Defuckboom's plans. The fight with TV Man Titan and G-Man was on display for cameraman to film the footage. 7th took the footage from his memory and showed it to 9th. He wanted to kill two birds and remove TV Man Titan, under the pretext that he was wounded, and thus showed that TV Man can be trusted, as he fights with Skibidists, and not with ordinary, but with the main boss. There is one inconsistency in the form of TV Woman, because if all other TV men in their own muddy, and can be allowed my theory that they are created specifically Skibidi Toilets headed by male 7, it is TV Woman does not look like a traitor at all. She always comes to the rescue, and all her actions except for ignoring the agent in love seem logical and kind. So we will talk about her in another video, if we get a lot of likes under this video. Let's summarize. In fact, male 7 is basically a good hero, since he is trying to save his land from a mad scientist. But behind his actions and actions are not always good intentions. Rather, they are just selfish and personal goals. He doesn't care how he stops Male 9. Even if the life of an alternate version of planet Earth depends on it, he just needs to fulfill his part of the bargain in order to move on to another goal: destroy all other versions of him. Perhaps I'm making too many analogies specifically to Rick and Morty, but the character reminds me a lot of Rick. Just as strong a hero, almost a god, who can beatbox anything he wants and even create new races, but still at the same time has a deep wound somewhere in the past. I am sure Defukboom will not abandon his characters, and in the future will definitely reveal the identity of Male 7, and we will see the full picture of what is happening on the screen. That's why I have a version of everything going on. I think this series of beatbox multiverse he created after the first series of Skibidi Toilet, as he saw its success, and realized that it is possible to connect them in the future, as this way it will be possible to develop the story even after the end of the war. He would want to connect his old universe with the new universe of Skibidi Toilets. So while the first episodes were just a joke, after 3-4 episodes, he started to develop the story into a bigger series with a massive plot. This video I did a very long time. I hope for your support in the form of subscription and likes, because I remind you that our goal is 100,000 subscribers. Now you can see my other videos. Thank you all for watching. See you in the new videos.